George. It's definitely my honor to introduce our keynote speaker. Coach Kirby was hired as University head football coach on December 6, 2015. He has spent the previous 9 seasons as the defensive coordinator at the University of Alabama. His first year, the Dogs went 8-5, and they also went to a school record 20th straight bowl appearance. They also put together a 3rd-ranked recruiting class. This past season, the Dogs had a great season, going 13-2 and winning the SEC championship by beating Auburn 28-7. That made Coach Smart the youngest head coach to ever win the SEC championship. The Dogs made the college football playoffs where they beat Oklahoma in double overtime in the Rose Bowl, earning a trip to the national championship game. They, however, lost to Alabama in overtime. However, I know I'm biased, but if you watch that game, the better team did not win. Coach Smart just put together the #1 ranked recruiting class in the country this past season. Coach Smart was also a 4-year letterman at Georgia, where he was the first team All-SEC at safety as a senior. We missed being teammates by a couple of years. Coach Smart is also married to a Georgia letterman. Her name is Mary Beth Smart, who also played basketball for the Dogs in the early 2000s. It is my honor to introduce the speaker, the University of Georgia head football coach, Coach Kirby Smart.
Amazing how you go on the speaking circuit after you win some games and they actually clap for you. That first year wasn't quite that way after that 8-5. Well, first I'd like to thank Jim there for the opening jokes and comments. I guess he doesn't know I was born in Alabama, and as he fired off those Alabama jokes, I kind of thought I resembled those remarks.
I think it went over their head.
It did. It went over mine too. That's what I'm saying. So, thank you for that grand opening. I think a lot of times we as fans sometimes take this sport for granted. When I think back to how good this sport's been to me, and there's a lot of great sports out there. As a father of 3 with 3 children that all play sports I never played growing up, they got so many opportunities for these kids today. I think it's incredible. And I don't want to diminish the meaning of a lot of sports out there, but this one's special to me because my father's a high school football coach, long time in Georgia. He didn't win near as many games as Jeff Herring. As a matter of fact, he probably had to move 2 or 3 times because Jeff Herring won all his games against him, so it made it hard to coach over there. But it's a sport that never needs to go away because it creates a value of toughness. You have to put on 30 pounds, helmet, shoulder pads, pants, pads inside of them. Then you go out in sweltering heat. Does it get hot in Anderson? Yeah, it gets hot in Athens. And it didn't take me but about 5 minutes to get here on a bird, so I know it gets the same temperature over here that it does in Athens, and it gets mighty hot. It's one of the few sports where you're wearing all this equipment, and then after you wear all this equipment, they're going to ask you to go out there and run across there and hit another guy. And play with toughness, and you're going to be demanded to come in the weight room all season and lift. Over the summer, you're going to condition and run in the middle of the heat, and there really is no off season for football. And the demands we put on student athletes, high school, college, all levels, it prepares them for the rest of their lives. And I believe that firmly in all my heart. And to show you that, there's a couple things I'm going to share with you our team used this year to help get us through those tough times. And I see a lot of orange kind of back there in the back. I was going to open with some of Muschamp's jokes for Dabo, but I didn't think that was appropriate. So I'm going to keep that feud between those two and just kind of keep the war over here on my side of the state and stay out of that. But Will did have a bunch of jokes. I told him he couldn't crack jokes till they won a game against him. So he gets no bragging rights right now. But going back to my initial point, we talked all year, and I want to share this with everybody in here, because I don't think this is a football thing. I think it's every person in this room. When you think about walking out of here, everything that happens to you from this point forward, I don't care if you're 85 and you were the guy that just came up to me in that line and told me that it was the best year you'd seen in 50 years of being a dog, or whether you're just a Clemson fan. It doesn't matter to me, either one. I'm sharing the message of own your burden. We had a guy come talk to us and he said, everything that happens to you, you can take it as a blessing or a burden. And we all have a burden. We have a burden to coach kids. We got a burden to support our family. And I think back to the times during the season for us as a team that I had to go to kids and say, hey, own your burden. You know, Nick Chubb and Sony probably did one of the most special things ever done. They were unselfish. How many people can say, being a running back, they're okay with the other guy getting as many or more carries than them, having as much or more success, and each one of them had games where they may have had more success than the other. Me and my wife were just fortunate enough to go on a trip, got invited to the Nike trip. That's if your team is a Nike school, you get to go on a Nike trip with Phil Knight, and you have a chance to go to a nice place, and they cover everything. And one of the greatest things I got out of that trip, there was 15, 16 other head coaches. Dabo was there. I got to share time with Dabo. But David Cutcliffe, who I have immense amount of respect for, pulled me to the side. Head coach at Duke, for you guys that don't know, used to be at Tennessee and Ole Miss. And I got a lot of respect for him. He pulled me to the side and he said, you know, the number one thing I loved about your team, he said, number one, they had a bunch of seniors. But number two, they were all unselfish. And in this day and age of sport, this day and age of media, this day and age of everything they want to show bad going on in the world, everything bad going on in sports, they'll never show the positive. And there's a lot of positive for the Georgia Bulldogs this past year. I mean, a lot of positive. When you see two guys that came to college together, played the same position, end up being roommates, best friends, and cheering for each other. You know, we had a situation in the Oklahoma game. It's a tight ball game. I forget if we've come back and maybe tied it up, or maybe we're down one touchdown. I mean, for all I know, it was like 100 to nothing because they just kept scoring and scoring and scoring. I didn't think we were ever going to stop it. But in the second half, Sony Michel, he gets popped right on the ball. Ball fumbles. Guy picks it up, runs back for touchdown. Nick comes over to me on the sideline and gets right in my ear and says, Coach, put Sony back in, and I want him to touch it first. Well, it wasn't really his turn. It was Nick's turn to carry it. But Nick wanted Sony to go back in to prove that we had confidence, because we knew we weren't going to win the game unless he got back in rhythm. He got his confidence back. And sure enough, that next drive, we actually gave it to Nick first. But Sony came back and made the run that will define that game, the last run. And it's unselfishness like that I hope all you award winners, and I want to congratulate each one of you, I hope you'll embrace that unselfishness, because it's so rare in our sport. You know, I got the great fortune of going in 1 million high schools a year. I mean, I go in and out of high schools, I get to meet coaches, talk to teachers. You know, I try to meet everybody in the school when I go in there, because you never know who that one person that's going to tell you the insights you need to know on every kid. But when I go meet these kids more and more in this day and age, it is 100%, can I get an offer, Coach? Can I tweet on Twitter? Can I put everything on social media? It is a me. And that's not really what the sport was built on. It's not the foundation it was built on. We challenge our guys. We actually make our freshmen take a course in humility when they get there the first summer. Can you be humble after every media outlet came to you and made you be the sensation? Made you be the 3 and 4 and 5 star? And now, you got to learn to be humble. You got to learn to share. Because when you go out in the real world, nobody's going to make it that easy for you. It'll never be as easy for you as it is when you're in college. It never is. I think every parent out here can attest that there comes the end of the month when that bill's due, when I've got to pay that bill, that life gets hard. There's days you wake up and you don't want to go to work. You don't feel like going to work. What inspires you to do it? What burden will you embrace, take head on, and go change somebody else's life and be a blessing to somebody else when you feel that burden yourself? We tell our guys every day, are you a burden or a blessing? And every one of our players has got a burden to bear. He's got some pressure from home. He's got pressure to graduate. He's got pressure to perform on a big stage. But own that burden. Embrace that. Because if you embrace that challenge, it'll prepare you for the rest of your life. And those are the things that drive us. Another thing we talked a lot about this year was, getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And I've said that before, you may have heard me say it, but I do think, I spent 11 years with Coach Saban, and 9 consecutive at Alabama, and spent that time over there getting those jokes cracked, But I did kid all the time, you gotta be careful driving to that state. If you roll your windows down, a diploma will fly in. So that's down in Auburn and Alabama, though. But I talk all the time about my experience with Coach Saban, and I draw on that experience. But for me to step out of a comfort zone of being defensive coordinator, and for each of us, it's whatever you're doing right now. Are you willing to step out of that comfort zone? Are you willing to try something new? I'll use Coach Herring as an example. He's got all those wins and all those victories, but is he willing to inspect his team, his coaching staff, and the way he does things, and every one of you in your work? Are you willing to look at yourself inside out and say, is there a better way? Because the one thing at the University of Georgia, we are in constant pursuit of a better way. And the first minute that you stop looking for a better way, you're going to get passed by. So we challenge ourselves. We talk about being comfortable, being uncomfortable. If you're comfortable all the time, you can't grow. You don't grow. And I felt that way. I felt like there came a point where in my career I needed to go do the next thing. I needed to go try to be a head coach. I needed to go be the driving force. And it was not comfortable. It's not comfortable doing an opening press conference when you've never done that before. It's not comfortable standing in front of the team after you get your butt kicked. It's not comfortable after you give up a Hail Mary to lose a game. But you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable to do that. And then you re-inspect that each year in everything you do in your organization. We're doing it right now. We're in constant pursuit of a better way. We met with 2 college football teams today trying to say, how's a better way we can do that? How's a better way we can improve on that? I challenge each of you to do that as a family. How can we communicate better? Can you turn your phone off? My kids can't. For 30 minutes, turn them off, shut it down, come in here, communicate. It's going to pay off in the long run if you can do those things. And I think that's really important for our players. We have, I think every coach here would tell you have a pregame meal ritual. I don't know if yours is to grab a burger, eat Chick-fil-A. You've got some kind of pregame meal ritual. For us, our biggest thing is the night before the game and the pregame meal the day of the game. We're shutting everything down. If you allow your children to sit there on the phone, they will sit side by side, text the person right next to them a message as opposed to turning and speaking to them. We challenge our guys. We go to a career fair in Atlanta. We put every single guy from freshman to senior on the bus, and we go to a career fair in Atlanta because we think it's important that they learn to communicate the right way. I challenge every one of us to do that. Challenge every one of us to shut down and turn off sometime where we have to talk to each other. Makes you that much stronger of a person. A couple other things I wanted to share. I got a text, and obviously I will not talk long tonight because I know you guys had to wait. Some people had to wait in line. Some people were waiting in here on the line outside to get started. But I promise you this, after the 2 playoff games, I will not be going overtime because we had both them games go overtime, and you won't have to worry about that with me at all. Okay? But that big game we played in, that last one, I got a million texts after it. But the one text, it was, great season, get them next year. You're dumb as hell, get out of town. But I got all kinds of texts. But the one text that stuck with me the most, and it's driven our team to this point, I got from a good friend. He said, that didn't happen to you. What just happened, that happened for you. And at first that didn't really make sense to me. I was like, what do you mean it didn't happen to me? Hell yeah, it did happen to me. It felt like it happened to me. It felt like it happened to me for sure. I couldn't sleep for the next week. But as time has passed, you realize that it didn't happen to me. It happened for me because it's the driving force, the extra motivation for our team. So it's another opportunity for our team to take that burden that we've got and now use that to fuel the fire. Not finishing it the right way. Not doing my job and finishing it. There's a million plays. Everybody talks about the second 26. There's a million plays in that game. Any one play could have made a difference. So we tell our guys the inches are everywhere. So when you walk out of here tonight and you look to your loved one, your significant other, the inches in your life, they're everywhere. All you gotta do is go get them. The inches are everywhere. They're right in front of you. They're everywhere. And that's what we're trying to demand that our team does every day, day in and day out, so we can get where we want to go. Okay? Thank you guys so much. God bless. Go Dogs.